showtime.
Hey, what's up, ghouls and gals? It's me, Ryan.T here, and I'm gonna review Bohemian Rhapsody. Alright, ghouls and gals, I just wanted to say one thing before I start this review. Out of respect for Freddie Mercury, who I really appreciate and admire him so much, and he is one of my favorite singers, I'm gonna do a serious review. I'm not gonna do any jokes, I'm not gonna do any gags. I'm literally just gonna tell you my feelings on Bohemian Rhapsody and if it's a good film and if you should see it, and that's what it's gonna be, guys. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's get it started. Bohemian Rhapsody stars Rami Malek and these guys over here who play the supporting cast of Queen, because in this movie they are essentially supporting cast, the rest of the band members, which I guess it kind of is sad, and not sad, I wish they would have had a little bit more to do in the film, because I know the Queen story involves the whole entire band and not just Freddie Mercury. But for all intensive purposes, this film, it focuses more on Freddie Mercury, which I understand. Audiences are more familiar with Freddie Mercury than they are with the rest of the band Queen. But I wish they would have spent a little bit more time on the rest of the band and kind of gave them more and kind of, you know, put the spotlight on them, because Freddie Mercury would have wanted that. Freddie Mercury was a kind of guy, and you get that in the film too, that they even ask him at one point, like, how does it feel being the leader of Queen? And he says that, I'm not the leader of Queen, I'm just the lead singer. Which was his attitude, and would still be his attitude if he was here today. Also, the elephant in the room, his AIDS and him being a homosexual, how was that dealt in the film? The way they deal with it in the film is kind of, it's interesting. They don't straight out, I guess, like, show him, like, with men, but they do show him that he's attracted to men, and they do show that he has this kind of conflict inside of him, because he loves his wife, or with his fiancée Mary, but he also is in love with the same sex. He's also in love with men. He's a homosexual, and then this film kind of does that very well. The inner struggle of somebody who is scared to be themselves and is not comfortable playing this part of, you know, of a straight person and stuff like that. So this film does a good job of that. I really commend Bryan Singer, whom I don't really like personally as a director, but I can give credit where credit is due. He did a good job at portraying Freddie Mercury's who he really was and how he was as a person. And that also goes credit to Rami Malek. Rami Malek destroys the character of Freddie Mercury. He is Freddie Mercury. He embodies Freddie Mercury perfectly in this film. He gets the nervousness, the not wanting to be alone, the bravado, the confidence, and all of that in Freddie Mercury. He really does an amazing job of it. And not to mention, he looks a lot like Freddie Mercury. It's really insane. But one thing I didn't like about the film that I think a lot of people are going to realize once they watch this film is that everything seemed so effortless and so easy for the band Queen. There's not really a struggle for them to get to where they, you know, to get to the status of Queen. You know, there wasn't really a struggle, or the film doesn't really portray that struggle. It just shows that they are kind of like playing these gigs and they meet Freddie Mercury and then everything explodes and everything happens. So that I didn't like, because I know that's not how it happened. But then again, I kind of feel like the surviving members of Queen had a lot to do with that, because they had a lot of input in the film. So I feel like they kind of were too close to the project, so they took out a lot of, you know, they took a lot of liberties with the Queen and Freddie Mercury story. One thing that I did like, again, going back to Freddie Mercury, was the way that they portrayed how lonely and how he just wanted somebody to love. I love how they portrayed that in the film. They portrayed him as which I'm assuming how he was in real life. He was just this guy that was, you know, he was unsure about himself. He wanted to be the life of the party. He wanted people to love him. He wanted to entertain. He wanted to be the best that he could be. And Rami Malek really embodies that so well. So long story short, should you go watch Bohemian Rhapsody? Or rather, do you need to be a fan of Queen to enjoy Bohemian Rhapsody? For the first question, will you enjoy this film? I think a lot of people will enjoy this film, but I feel like this film will turn off some hardcore fans of Queen and Freddie Mercury, because this isn't a Queen story. This is a Freddie Mercury story. And this film isn't really a movie, so to speak. It's kind of a autobiography, with cinematic elements. Also, to answer the second question, do you need to be a Queen fan to enjoy this film? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say no. You just have to be a fan of like music, and a fan of the human spirit, and a fan of, of just film in general. I know I said that this movie doesn't really work as a film, but once you sit down and watch this movie and you see Rami Malek portray Freddie Mercury, you're going to get sucked in. I mean, at certain points I forgot that I was even watching Rami Malek portray Freddie Mercury. I thought I was just watching Freddie Mercury on screen. So again, I cannot praise Rami Malek enough. He did an amazing job as Freddie Mercury, and this film is, for lack of a better word, it's a great character study of Freddie Mercury. Again, it's not the Queen story. It's not at all the definitive Queen story. By any means, it isn't. And I'm sure if the band were here, they would say the same thing. Guys, what did I think of the film? What score will I give the film? I think a 7 is fair, because again, this film isn't a Queen film. It left out a lot of things. They took a lot of liberties with the Freddie Mercury story, but the stylish direction that Bryan Singer brings to this film, also coupled with Rami Malek's amazing performance, really brings this film together, and I think 7 is a fair score. Guys, tomorrow I'll be reviewing Suspiria, so look out for that one. I'll see you in the next one.